In this lesson, we're going to look at the last option for the brush tool in Flash 8, and that's brush mode. Have a look down here in the options area and you'll see the brush mode button. Select that and we can see that the brush tool has 5 different modes it can operate in. Now the brush mode controls how the brush tool interacts with other artwork on the same layer in the timeline. Now the same layer thing is very important. So I'm going to select layer 68, and this is what I currently have a piece of artwork on here. We'll start with the paint normal mode, and as you may expect, the paint normal mode will paint over everything. It'll just run rampant over anything you paint on. Once this is done, your brush stroke is now its own object, and everything else is split up into smaller pieces. Okay, let me undo that, and we'll go to the next one. The next one is Paint Fills. This option will paint filled and empty space, but it will leave strokes alone. So, I'll paint across this, and you'll see that all of the empty space is painted over. The fills in here are painted over, but the strokes haven't been touched. They're still intact. Undo that, and we'll go to the next one. This one is Paint Behind. Using this option, you'll paint behind everything. No existing artwork is covered up. So we'll try this again. I'll stroke across here. Even though right now it looks like it's painting on top, as soon as I release, our brush stroke is now behind everything on the stage. And once again, the stuff on the stage is intact. I'll undo that, and we'll have a look at the next one. The next one is Paint Selection, and this one is kind of cool. This will only paint filled areas, not strokes, and it will only paint areas that are currently selected. So, remember our earlier lesson on the lasso tool. Grab the lasso tool, and let's make a selection. I'm going to include part of this shape that I have here on the stage. Now go back to the brush tool, and make sure that the brush mode is set to Paint Selection, and let's see what happens. I'll draw across this, and there we go. Flash only paints in the area of the fill that's currently selected. Again, it does not paint over strokes or lines. Undo that, and let's look at the last mode. This one is Paint Inside, and this one is really cool. This only paints in the area in which you start your brush stroke. If you start it in an unfilled area, it will only paint the unfilled area, and it does not cross strokes or lines. If you start it in a filled area, it will stay inside that area, and again, it will not cross lines. Let's have a look at how this works. I'll start out here in the empty space. I can paint as per normal, but what happens when I try to cross a line? I can't do it. Notice, though, that this brush stroke continues on the other side because it's part of the same empty space. Now let's go back a couple steps, and I'll start inside this fill. I'll draw across the stroke into the other filled area. And, as you can see, it won't cross the stroke. Let's start inside this empty area. I'll go down here and try and cross this line, and then cruise into the fill here and then back up. Once again, it does not cross lines. Now I don't know about you, but this is something I could have really used as a kid when learning to color in coloring books, because you can start in this filled area and be as messy as you like. Once you release the mouse, you've only filled in that area. Pretty handy. And that's it for the brush modes of the Flash 8 brush tool.